The New York Knicks have just gone up 1-0 on the San Antonio Spurs. The Knicks win game 1 of the NBA Finals, and I've seen a lot of Spurs in 4 on social media. Ladies and gentlemen, y'all underestimated the Knicks. I'm not saying they're going to win this series. I'm not necessarily saying that. I'm saying that the Knicks are going to win this series. The Knicks are going to win this series. Ladies and gentlemen, what a game. First of all, incredible game. You know, most of the players kind of shot bad, low key. Wasn't really an efficient player out of the 4 All-Stars that were in this game. Not one efficient player, okay? But, you know, everyone shooting bad kind of added to the fun. All right, pretty fun game. But the Knicks win. Go New York, go New York, go. The Knicks are 3 games away from their first NBA championship in 53 years. I'm talking since 1973. 1973. That's crazy. That is crazy. The Spurs looking for their first title since 2014, but now they've fallen behind in the count. Let's see what they do in Game 2. But before we get to Game 2, we're going to talk about Game 1. Jalen Brunson, 30 points. This was the greatest 30-point game of all time. All right, it feels like it. At this moment in time, this feels like the greatest 30-point game ever. It's also probably one of the most inefficient. He shot 12 of 31. He was 2 for 9 from 3. But he had 13 points in the fourth quarter, and he made maybe all of the Knicks' last field goals. I think he made out of the Knicks' last 8 field goals made, Jalen Brunson made at least 6 or 7 of them, right? He took over in the fourth. There was a point in time where he went on an 8-0 scoring run, just by himself, right? Inefficient game, doesn't matter because he took over in the fourth. He was scoring, and he was cooking. Jalen Brunson, Captain Clutch, was clutch in this game. And you know who else had some big plays in this game? Karl-Anthony Towns. In the third quarter, Karl-Anthony Towns, the Knicks were down, 12, 13 points at one point. And Cat, he had a few big plays to get him right back into it. I think he might have got 2 and 1s in a row. He at least got 1 and 1, and prior to that he had just scored. So he was playing good. Karl-Anthony Towns had 18 points. He had 12 rebounds. But when you talk about rebounds, you got to talk about the guy who led the game in rebounding. It wasn't Karl-Anthony Towns. It wasn't Victor Wembanyama. It wasn't Mitchell Robinson. It wasn't Luke Cornett. Ladies and gentlemen, it was Josh Hart, okay? Josh Hart had 15 rebounds, 6 assists, 4 steals, and a block. He only had 3 points, but don't matter. You can affect the game in a lot more ways than just scoring, and that's what Josh Hart did. Josh Hart was very impactful on this game. I don't know what his field goal percentage was. He probably was 1 for 20, but it doesn't matter. He was fantastic in this game as far as I'm concerned because of everything else he brought. All right, the energy, the defense, the rebounding, the playmaking, just everything, okay? Everything. Andrew Shamet, 13 points off the bench. He was pretty good in this game. Deuce McBride hit a pretty big shot. He banked a corner 3. OG Anunoby, for most of this game, kind of not what you expect in a NBA Finals game out of a guy who's played as well as OG Anunoby has in the playoffs. But the fourth quarter comes around, and he scored 12 points. Yeah, I think he had 5 points going in. He finished with 17. He hit some very big shots in this game. OG Anunoby played very, very well. The Knicks, defensively, there were points in the game where I thought they weren't doing good, but they, they brought it together, though. They brought it together repeatedly, time and time again. They brought it together defensively, offensively in this game where not a lot of people were really all that efficient offensively. No one was hitting shots. I mean, Jalen Brunson missed 19 shots in this game. I didn't even write down everyone else's field goal attempts and attempted shots made, but like a lot of people were not efficient in this game. But the Knicks just brought it all together in the fourth quarter. They brought it all together. They kept the game pretty close, and they brought it all together to win this game. And this has to be the biggest win New York has had, the Knicks at least, since the 1994 NBA Finals. 32 years. 32 years. And if they can win game 2, that'd be an even bigger win. But let's talk about the Spurs. Victor Wembanyama, 26 points, 12 rebounds, 3 blocks, affected the game defensively in ways that you can't even track on a stat sheet. So he was really, really bad when it came to shooting the basketball. He did shoot 6 for 21. He did shoot 2 for 9 from 3. He did have 13 free throws, and he did make 12 of them, so that's pretty good. But 26 points, 12 rebounds, 3 blocks for Victor Wembanyama. It's the type of game, where I struggle to say it was a bad game for Wemby, but it was bad for the most part offensively. I think just the best overall player for the Spurs in this game was Dylan Harper. Off the bench, 16 points, 8 rebounds. He shot 60%. Kind of don't know why he didn't play more. From first half, he looked like the best player in the game. Spurs, Knicks, don't matter. Dylan Harper looked like the best player in the game. He honestly, it looked like he could go for 30 in that first quarter. I think he was like 4 for 5 in the first quarter. But then, I don't know. I just feel like, man, we should have had more Dylan Harper, especially considering the fact De'Aaron Fox was in the game for a lot of this game, and he had 7 points, and he shot 3 for 13. And he had like 4 rebounds, 5 assists, maybe a couple steals, but like this guy had 7 points. He was 3 for 13. You're telling me you can't put Dylan Harper in there, give Dylan Harper some of De'Aaron Fox's minutes? I don't know. I feel like Dylan Harper should have been in this game a lot more for the Spurs. I don't know I didn't write down what their minutes were, but whatever Dylan Harper's minutes were, there weren't enough. Stephon Castle, solid game, 17 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists. I don't know his turnovers. People have been talking about his turnovers. I didn't write down his turnovers. Sometimes he's got 10, sometimes he has 1. So it's really just up and down. It's hot and cold with Stephon Castle when it comes to the turnovers. Julian Champagnie, really good in the first half. He had 15 points in the first half, and he finished with 16. He kind of did a disappearing act offensively. You don't know where he went. He just kind of didn't show up. And, the Knicks, with the 10-point win in Game 1, they've won 12 straight games in a row. The only 2 games they lost were by 1 point each, and now they have won Game 1 of the NBA Finals. This is amazing.